Hi, hi again, everyone. My name is Simeon. I'm one of the employability specialists at Swansea Employability Academy. We do a lot of work with Discovery. Eleanor Norton is the boss. Is that your title officially?
Yeah, broadly.
Boss and master of Discovery. We really love working with them. They're a great charity. It's not. I feel really lucky to have them on campus, not just because of all the amazing work they do. Discovery does loads of amazing work, which I'm sure Eleanor will tell you about now. But also because of the knowledge. It's great to have people that really know their stuff about volunteering, about the charity sector. So yeah, that's why we've got Eleanor in to do this webinar. This webinar is being recorded for YouTube as well, for people who aren't able to be here. Great. I don't think I had anything else to say. We'll be running questions as we go along. Also, we'll do a little Q&A at the end if anybody has any other questions. If anybody has any employability specific questions, I'll also be available to answer those questions at the end. So without further ado, Eleanor Norton.
Okay. Thank you very much, Simeon. So hi, everybody. It's really nice to be here. As Simeon said, Discovery is a volunteering charity based at Swansea University. We're student-led. I'll explain a little bit more about what that means in a second. I'm director. We've got a very small staff team, and then a huge amount of what we do is led by student volunteers. We've got three of them here today, Andrew, Arjun and Caitlin, who you may be able to see, and you're going to hear from them a little bit as well. So the way the webinar is going to work, I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview of Discovery, of who we are, of why we exist, the kind of things that we do and how things work. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about why volunteering is so useful for employability, particularly, and what it gives you that's quite unique and special and really useful, especially in the kind of current climate. Then I'm going to bring in Arjun, Caitlin and Andrew to talk about their very specific experiences, about what they've done in their volunteering roles, and how they've used that for finding other volunteering, for finding placement years, for finding jobs through the summer, and kind of how it's shaping their plans and decisions they're making now ready for their career after university. And then I'll tell you a little bit about where we're at now in terms of sort of the impact of COVID on volunteering, what we're able to offer, and the next steps you need to take to get involved. As Simeon said, feel free to ask a question at any point. Pop it in the chat if you want to. Andrew's going to keep an eye on the chat and he'll flag them up to me, or you've got your little hands up icon, or just come off mute and shout, and I'll try and listen if there's anything you want to know or want more information on. The webinar is designed to be, it's fairly slim, to give you a decent overview and plenty of time to hear from Arjun and Caitlin and Andrew. So feel free to ask questions, because we won't be covering every single little bit. Okay, so I think I might start off and use the chat actually. While I give a little bit of background to Discovery, if you could pop in the chat and just tell us if you're, what you're studying, what year you're going into, and maybe if you've done any volunteering before, and if you could just answer those questions in the chat in the next couple of minutes, that would be great. It would be really nice to get a sense of who's here and what your experiences are. Okay, so I'll let you get on with that while I tell you a little bit about Discovery's background. Okay, so who are we? Discovery is a registered charity. We were set up by a little group of students, so 3 people who actually came back a little while ago. We were set up over 50 years ago by 3 students who wanted to do something positive with their spare time when they were at university. So they made some links with social services. They found some groups that were supporting vulnerable people, and tried really hard to make themselves useful. There were kind of many years of trial and error of working out what could happen, but we kind of developed from that real kind of tiny really well-intentioned start, and kind of grew over years. It's always been something that has been really attractive to students, and you'll know yourselves, the kind of wanting to do something constructive and useful and positive with your free time, to be a meaningful part of the community of the city that you come in to study in. It's something that students have felt all the way along, and what Discovery has done is given a place for them to go. So from those 3 people kind of who originally set things up, we now have, most years we have more than 600 volunteers across the university. Usually we have around 35 different projects doing all sorts of different things. They're a little bit, the shape and the way things look are a little bit different, obviously, due to the kind of COVID situation at the moment, but I think we're up to we've got about 20 projects that are definitely going to be running from this term, but I'll tell you a little bit more about them. So we're big, we have a lot of reach, we do a lot of different things, and we've existed for a really long time. At some point in that 50, I think we're on 56 years, I should know. At some point in those 50 years, we established fairly early on, we established ourselves as a charity. It's quite interesting, the volunteering services in universities operate in different ways. Often they'll set up within the student union kind of as a society. Sometimes they'll sit within the employability team. We feel that being an independent registered charity gives Discovery and Swansea University a huge amount. We're absolutely part of the university and embedded in it, but we are an autonomous organisation. So we've got our own systems and structures. Our governance and leadership is done by our board of trustees rather than the university, which means that we have a huge amount of flexibility in what we do and how we do it, and it means we can genuinely be student-led. So what that means is that as a charity, we have to have a board of trustees. Half of those trustees have to be students. The other half are kind of different people from the community and from university staff, and they set the governance for the organisation. So they are ultimately responsible for what we do and how we do it. Arjun, Caitlin and Andrew are all student trustees, so when they chat they can tell you a little bit about what that role involves and what they've gained from it, but it does mean that you have a very real experience of running an organisation kind of right in there. So we're student led in that way. Then, as I said, we're a little staff team, we're only 5 members of staff, and there's no way we could run 35 different projects. So each of those projects has a student who takes a leadership role. So each project has 1 or 2 student project coordinators, and with support from staff, it's up to them to make sure that project actually happens. So they're responsible for talking to our community connections, for talking to the people who are going to benefit from the project, from planning and risk assessing those activities. So again, a brilliant leadership opportunity, huge amounts of learning there, and it means that as quite a tiny organisation with a very little staff team, we can do a huge amount more. I can see there's quite a lot coming up in the chat. Andrew, do you want to tell us a bit about who we've got and what sort of, if people have got any volunteering experience?
Yes, so we've got someone going into 3rd year psychology. They're already done some stuff with Discovery on one of our projects, the COP project, which is our project working in partnership with South Wales Police. We've got final year PhD physics student. So yeah, it's open to everyone, staff as well, not just undergrad or anything students. They tried to start with us, but they had to go to Bristol for an internship. So they're looking forward to doing some stuff with us this year, because they didn't get a chance last year.
Okay.
Final year student in management, and done some volunteering with the NHS.
Interesting. Cool. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, really nice range of you guys there, and range of different experiences. As Andrew said, we obviously, being based in the university, we're really hard to have projects that are relevant to kind of all of the different schools and colleges and subject areas. Psychology is always is quite an easy win for us. There's an awful lot there, you know, lots of projects where you're kind of working directly with humans and people who need extra bits of support, which really lends itself to that. But actually, that, you know, there's something that'll link into whatever your course is and whatever your career aspirations are. Ace. Okay, thank you. Right, what have we got next? Okay, so why might you want to volunteer? So obviously volunteering has the massive benefit of the fact that you are doing something positive for and with your community. Whether you've always lived in Swansea and have chosen to study here, whether you're in your third year, whether you're coming here for the first time as a first year student, it means that you get to see a whole different side of the city and become part of it in a whole different way. Volunteering also just massively feels good. It's so positive to know that you're doing something constructive with your time. There's loads of amazing research on the mental health benefits of volunteering and why it's good for you. Today what we're going to focus on is the employability benefits of volunteering. So I've worked in the voluntary sector in Swansea, in kind of a range of different charities and social enterprises for over 20 years now, and for the last sort of 8 years or so, I've recruited a lot of people. I've had jobs where I've been interviewing and employing people. And the only times really where I've employed brand new graduates, when they're in competition with people who maybe have been in the job market a little bit longer, is when they've had volunteering experience. Because what it demonstrates to me as an employer is that they have very real, very hands-on experience, that they've taken on a role that they didn't have to. If it's compulsory, then it's not volunteering. So they've done something extra, usually that they're passionate about, and that they've had to develop and use a lot of kind of real work skills. And what we do in Discovery is try and structure all of our volunteering opportunities that they give you tangible skills that you'll be able to kind of take on with you. So lots of students will do kind of practical work. You might have group projects, you might do those kind of things, and that's great and that's fine. But actually all students will have them, but not all students will have volunteering experience. So what it can do is make your CV or your job application shine, because you can not only talk about teamwork, for example, in a project work setting to do with your course, in a study setting. You can talk about a teamwork experience in a volunteering setting where it feels very, very relevant to the workplace and just gives an extra dimension to how you develop those skills, and crucially gives you examples to talk about. We keep in touch with a lot of our ex-volunteers who move on and go on and do other things. We go and we get them to tell us what they're doing, and so many tell us that in job interviews, the thing they've talked about the most when they're asked for examples of how they can demonstrate their skills is their volunteering experience, particularly people who have done project coordinating and some of the leadership roles with us, because you will face challenges, you will have to problem solve, you will have to communicate with others and do all sorts of different things. So I've probably said everything that's on this slide. So volunteering gives you key employability skills. There's teamwork, problem solving, planning, leadership, initiative. It demonstrates commitment, resilience, and reliability. And those last three are really, really important as well, because it's about some key qualities that when you've kind of been through education, maybe had a Saturday job or those kind of things, well, again, those are the routine things that everybody does. When you've stepped outside of that and taken on a volunteering role, they demonstrate, something extra, that you're prepared to go the extra mile to commit to something, that you've got that reliability to do that role well, that you've got that resilience to balance that with your studies, with your social life, with paid work if you're doing that as well. And I've mentioned it a couple of times, and I know Arjun and Caitlin and Andrew are going to chat about that in a minute as well. But leadership opportunities as well. The fact that if you volunteer with Discovery and you go on to one of those leadership roles of project coordinator or trustee, then actually you're demonstrating that you're happy to step up, and that you've tried it out. You've worked out some of what your own leadership style might be. You've faced some of that challenge of supporting people and kind of looking after your own little team of volunteers, which are all kind of brilliant and useful experiences to be able to demonstrate. Okay, so yeah, as I've kind of made this point, I think that volunteering gives you very real and tangible examples for job applications and interviews. It's all well and good to say that you're a good problem solver, but actually let's hear what volunteering does is give you a very real life example. I might ask when Caitlin and Arjun and Andrew speak, I might ask them to tell you about some of the situations where they've faced unexpected challenges and had to problem solve, because there's always plenty of those in our Discovery volunteering. Okay, have we got any questions or anything, Andrew?
No, nothing new's come into the chat yet, so.
Excellent. Cool. Okay. Oh, one more. So the other really crucial thing about volunteering, which is actually one of my favorite things about managing this project, and something I love seeing the students we work with go through, is developing ideas about what you really want to do with your career and with your life. I think, so much of your life is taken up in your job, that doing something that you care about, doing something that you love and enjoy on a day-to-day basis, if you possibly can find a job that does that for you, then it's a huge benefit to the rest of your life. And what volunteering does is enables you to find that out. We have a lot of people who volunteer with us and realize that actually the voluntary sector and charities are a really viable career path, that there are really exciting and interesting jobs there. So people may not have planned that, they spend some time with Discovery and then go and find what it is that they can do that matches their skills, that's available in the voluntary sector. Or it might be you realize that actually leading a team is something you're passionately interested in and something you want to do. You might realize that that you've got a real strength around problem solving and planning. So actually, in whatever your chosen field is, you look to develop those skills. I think volunteering really does help to kind of formulate those ideas and give you some experiences in a range of different areas, really, that will help you see where you really shine and what you really enjoy. Okay, so I'm going to hand over to our three students. I'm going to start with Caitlin, because she's actually calling in from work, so we need to be a little bit precious of her time and allow her to go. So Caitlin, if you can just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about how and why you got involved, and a bit about what you've done in those leadership roles, and how you think volunteering with Discovery has helped you in terms of employability. Okay.
Yeah, so hi, I just finished my fourth and final year of my geography undergraduate degree, but I'm staying on in Swansea. I'm doing a master's. What's really cool about like my time of Discovery is that I did so I joined Discovery in my second year, which is God, quite a few years ago now. I joined as the age exchange project coordinator. So I wanted to join Discovery because of all of the employability skills that I knew I'd be able to develop, because I wanted to do a year in industry. So I came in and I started off as the age exchange project coordinator, and that enabled me to develop my leadership skills and also my leadership skills and my employability through that aspect. And then in my so when I did a year in industry, and then I came back and I became a project coordinator for circus eruption, and I've been doing that this year. I'll pass it over to Arjun for a moment because I need to do something. So one sec.
Hi, yeah, my name's Arjun. sorry, I'm just a little bit flustered. I'm a project coordinator with completely forgot what project I was doing. Gadget Explorers this year, and yeah, it's been a great experience because it's given me the opportunity to develop my leadership style and try and manage a project, which can be a lot more of a trickier thing to think about because you have to think about many things at once. You have to think about what you want your volunteers to do when they get there, how you want to manage them and make sure they are getting the skills that they deserve from volunteering, which is an important part of what like being a project coordinator is all about. And I feel like, as Eleanor was saying earlier, it's good to have these things because it gives you the opportunities and expectations that you can go into an interview and be able to explain and exemplify specific goals or specific things that you found have like improved your leadership style. And I can vouch that myself. It may not be a specific job, but I recently applied for a job within the care sector as a carer / support worker. And I felt that the opportunities I had to work with adults with additional needs and children really did help substantiate these different things and make a difference in showing, look, I've done this, I've worked with these backgrounds, and I've had these experiences in the past, which give me the experience without needing to actually go to work or without needing to have prior experience. It gives you a lot more of a leverage in that behalf. Yeah, thanks. Andrew, do you want to say a few words?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so I started with Discovery in my first year. I initially started because I find it quite difficult to get involved in new social situations and stuff. So sort of getting involved with societies and stuff was proving somewhat difficult, and someone suggested, oh, why not try Discovery? So I came along. Initially, I was just going to do a couple of hours a week, updating some stuff on their website and writing a little blog post about what happened. Just quite easy stuff. And yeah, and now I'm legally responsible for the running of the charity as a trustee. I've been project coordinator on 3 different projects over the years. I just have ended up doing so much amazing stuff that I would never have had the chance to without if I hadn't got involved with Discovery.
Okay, Ace, thank you, all of you. I'm going to ask a couple of questions. Caitlin, are you good if I come back to you with a specific question?
Yeah, I'm back. I just had to change to a different room.
Okay, good. Well, we appreciate you joining us from work. Could you tell us a little bit about the kind of, as a project coordinator, the kind of things that you need to do, some of the tasks that are involved in being a project coordinator?
So one of the main things you need to do is organize and manage your volunteers for your projects. So there's a lot of leadership in trying to make sure that they're all feeling engaged and happy and everyone's being looked after. It's also a lot of communication skills, because one of the main things you have to do as a project coordinator is communicate with vastly different groups of people. So for me, because I worked in my second year as the age exchange volunteer, I worked with older people in nursing homes who often didn't really want to engage because they felt very lonely. So it was a lot more like trying actively to get them involved in the community and working with us. And then in my third year, when I came back off my year in industry, I found that I was working for Circus Eruption, which was a youth project. So it was less trying to get the kids engaged, but more trying to keep them on task and making sure that they were doing stuff productively. So you get to communicate with so many different groups of people, which means that you're able to work in vastly different scenarios. And that's very important in terms of employability. When they want, employers want to know that you're resilient to different situations, or if something changes on a dime, such as what's happened in the real world, you're able to adapt.
Thanks, thank you. That's really nice. Thanks, Caitlin. So Andrew, if I can ask you another question, I wonder what might be useful would be for you to chat a little bit about some of the sort of the direct volunteering, so some of the projects, because I know you've been amazing in terms of being quite available to slot in, and if we, you know, as one of our first aiders, quite often we've brought you in to quite a few different projects. So maybe to give people a little sense of some of the day-to-day of volunteering, perhaps thinking sort of pre-COVID right now, but some of the post-COVID stuff you've done as well would be great. Just a little overview.
Yeah, so yeah, I've been involved in lots of different activity and stuff. Quite a lot of the children's projects that go out on day trips. So I this year was coordinator for Kids Away, but I've also volunteered on that previously prior to that, and with Inside Out and Rascals, which will do kind of similar things with different groups of children, taking them out for a fun day trip. Yeah, so it's really good. It's a great opportunity to you know, sort of get involved. You know, it's generally the same kids each month on the trip, so you start to get to know who's who, and you know, they get to know you.
Brilliant, thank you. And you volunteered on the supported volunteering project as well, haven't you? And
yes.
Active 18.
Yes, so yeah, and again, those do some trips and also some stuff on campus as well. And so yeah, so that's working with adults with additional needs. So you know, it's quite different in some ways to working on the kids projects, but you've still got that, you know, sort of engaging with them, getting to know them. I mean, between volunteering on those projects and just generally being in the office when our supportive volunteers are in, you know, you really get to know them, and you know, their personality, I guess. You know, they're just a great bunch of guys. So much fun. And then, you know, as Arjun was saying, you've got that actual practical experience there that you can then go on to say, yes, I have actual experience of working with these different groups of people, and sort of and getting to know how individuals you know, what support they need, and how to provide that in a way that's cooperative and working, you know, with them to establish.
Brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. And I think all of those things translate so well. If you ever get asked in a job interview about how you've worked as part of a team, about how you've had to use initiative to work with people, those, you know, working with, whether it's older people or disabled adults or children and young people, they all pull on your initiative and your ability to problem solve and work something out in a moment. And I think probably you'd all agree that you've certainly built some of those skills.
Yeah, definitely. When I was running the buddied reading scheme one time, the normal taxi provider we used wasn't available because they were booked up to taking everyone for another discovery project, ironically. So it's, you know, it's not like a major crisis, but it's an unexpected event in the road, and you know, you're like, okay, right, well, they're not available. Okay, I need to find a different company. Okay, do we have an account with this company so that, you know, or do we need to, you know, work out that? Do they know where they go, where we're going? How do we, you know? Yeah, it's just that sort of, something went a little bit not as expected. Maybe a child's late turning up, and you know, and it's just sort of as you go, you've got those real examples of.
Sorry, if I could butt in there, Andrew. You were talking a lot about like risks, and risk assessments is something that we do for every project that we run, and it's really important in any sector of work to have that experience, because being able to say, oh, I did a risk assessment for this project, or I did a risk assessment for this charity, shows that you've personally gone in and found what could go wrong, created active management plans, and situations where you can rectify this if things go wrong. So being able to manage that is an essential part, and it's quite a big part of what management's all about. So
yeah, absolutely. And I think both what Andrew was saying there about the day-to-day, right, what's happened now that I hadn't planned, and as Arjun said, the bigger picture, when you step back, you plan your project, you write your risk assessment, are amazing experience and examples to give in job interviews, on your CVs, and also in terms of your own kind of planning for what you might want to do with your future. So yeah, brilliant. Okay, anything you three guys want to add about, so you're all trustees, anybody want to add anything about that role and what that has given you in terms of oversight and governance and those kind of things?
Yeah, I will. So one of the things, I think the really important skills that both a project coordinator and a trustee role gives you is organization. So I've taken on the secretarial position within the board of directors, and what I think is really important is the ability to organize your time, organize volunteers, organize meetings, getting everything sorted and in place. Employers really like to see that you're reliable and resilient. So being able to organize your time effectively is a very important skill that I think the roles in Discovery can give you. I talked a little bit about it earlier, but I ended up doing a year in industry through my degree. And when I was in my interview for it, they were asking me about times that I had organized people, or I'd organized a team, or when something went wrong and I had to quickly rectify it. These are all situations that are really, really important, and you can get all of those answers for those questions through volunteering. So I can tell you for a fact that it's incredibly employable, because I talked about Discovery continually throughout my time in my job and also throughout my interview. So all of those skills are incredibly, incredibly important.
Thanks. Okay, thanks, Caitlin. Go on, Andy.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I mean, also, I've, been quite the slightly unusual and fortunate position to have been a trustee for 3 years now. And over that time, I've really seen a lot of things about the charity change and grow, and found out a lot about sort of how it works behind the scenes, in terms of, reviewing policy documents to make sure that, we're all legally compliant, and sitting in formal meetings, arranging them, chairing meetings, and that sort of thing. It's all sorts of, really interesting to find out stuff about sort of how a charity and, to some extent a business, we're not a business, but, lots of things happen kind of similarly. I was lucky enough to sit on a panel recruiting a member of staff for maternity cover. So again, I've got that sort of experience of a recruitment process from the other side, and could sort of think about what employers would be looking for when I'm an interviewee. So again, there's so many different things that I've been able to do.
Nice, thank you, Andrew. That's fab. And yeah, you're right, we're not a business, but actually we still have to produce annual accounts, we still have to do an annual report, we still have to look at quite complex financial information to make sure there's enough money coming in for what we need to go out. And as trustees, you have to understand and have access to that. I think I've forgotten the statistic, I should have remembered it, but the vast majority of trustees are retired or over 50. So actually hardly any young people get the opportunity to be a trustee of a charity. And I feel like it's one of the most valuable bits of experience that we give in Discovery, and we're a better organization for it.
It's something like 3% of trustees are young people, and it's something like 1 in 12 trustees are called John. So it's really a really small percentage.
Yeah, it's one of those ridiculous stats. So I feel like, we're doing our bit to rebalance the numbers there a little bit. Ace, thank you guys. Okay, any final things you want to add about your volunteering experience, or does anyone have any questions for the Arjun, Caitlin or Andrew about a student's experience of volunteering?
I mean, one of the last things I would want to say is just encouraging as many people as I can to really join. It really helps just to get any skills you can. I was trying to apply for year in industry positions without any paid work experience in my life. So being able to do that and get a job with just voluntary experience, it shows just how many skills Discovery can develop for you.
I think I'd like to say, so us three have all got ridiculously involved in the charity, being project coordinators and trustees and volunteering on loads of different projects. And I don't want anyone to feel daunted by that. You don't have to do all the projects. It's very much, you know, as much or as little involvement as you like, you know. You could just do, you know, one project that runs once a month. Now in the sort of post-COVID era, we've got a lot of projects that are digital and online, so you don't, well, most of them will be to start with anyway, and, you know, lots of things, some of our sort of virtual volunteering things that you can just dip in and out of in your own time. So time commitment is not something you should be, you know, worried about with, you know, having to do your degree and paid work maybe as well. You know, we are quite flexible in the different opportunities we offer.
Definitely, really good point, Andrew. Thank you. Arjun, any last words?
If I could add one thing that's really good about Discovery is it kind of offers like an intermediary for networking as well. And networking is a big part of being able to get yourself out there and get yourself to meet new people. By volunteering, you're essentially meeting people in the community, which kind of shows your face around, but it also makes you feel a lot more personable with people around. And it might open your eyes to new opportunities and new things. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, thank you, Arjun. That's a really good point. And there are definitely people now working in the voluntary sector in Swansea, so, you know, paid jobs for charities in Swansea via kind of connections or organisations they've got to know whilst volunteering at Discovery. Definitely, it's you know, at the very least, that, you know, some people have moved into clear jobs there, but it certainly widens your network.
Some people have moved into working in Discovery.
Yeah, exactly. Some people have moved from volunteering with Discovery to working in Discovery as well, which we enjoy very much too. Cool. All right then. Thanks very much, guys. I will move on with our slides, but I know you're around if there's any other questions towards the end, and feel free to chip in because I definitely won't say all the things I should. Okay, so
I do have one thing that I wanted to add. I know there's probably a little bit too much, but Discovery offer a lot of opportunities for like internships as well, and I did one of the internships myself with supported volunteering scheme. But there's opportunities for like finance internships and stuff like that, which really do build up the skills and offer an opportunity for paid employment within Discovery. So, yeah.
That's a really good point, Arjun, and timely to bring it up because those are in partnership with Swansea Employability Academy. There's and Simeon, who's here today, helps us to organise those and funds those. So what it means is that we quite regularly have, you know, small chunks of work. So what were you 70 hours, Arjun? I think it was 70 hours. Yeah. So 70-hour paid internship where you get some real paid experience for a particular bit of work that we need doing that's sort of different and separate to the volunteering. And although they're open to all students, like any role, the experience you've had volunteering within Discovery is always a big asset in that interview process. It means that you are much more likely to be sort of matching the skills that we're looking for when we recruit for those. Simeon, did you want to say anything else about internships?
Yeah, I just wanted to come in again. So we've literally yesterday I had confirmation that the funding is going ahead. The same funding you have been using for the past couple of years is going ahead again. You know, if you'll take interns, we're more than happy to provide them again to Discovery.
Amazing. We'll find the roles. It's brilliant. We really enjoy it. Yeah, we really enjoy having them, and it feels like a really nice extra thing for us to be able to offer to students as well. It's a paid bit of experience in the voluntary sector, doing a very focused bit of work, which is different to and enhances the volunteering experience.
Excellent.
Amazing. Cool. Thanks, Tim. Okay, so what can you do? So as I'm sure you can imagine, COVID massively changed everything we did. You've got a little collection of photos here that show some of our pre-COVID projects. The vast majority of what we did got people together in the same room. Lots of vulnerable people and ill people and old people, and then lots of children and young people. So we kind of we had to do a significant kind of about turn in March and suspend most of our projects. However, they are all there. Some of them have switched and have moved actually very smoothly into something that operates online or with phone calls. We've got a letter writing project. We've got activity creating projects. So all the people we were working with before, we are still working with, just in a very different way, and actually much more than I would have anticipated. I'm very proud of us for making that transition work. And all our face-to-face work is kind of, it's frozen, it's on hold. It's all there ready, and when the world allows, we will move back into that. And I think we're very likely to have a sort of transition period where we'll start to do some things kind of physically and in the real world with social distancing or physical distancing, as we're calling it, and lots of Dettol and hand sanitizer in place. But what we've managed to do is kind of get around 20 running projects that are completely COVID proof. They don't need people to be in a shared space. But some of these pictures give you just a little bit of a feel of the kind of things we were doing before. I think Andrew mentioned buddied reading, so we go into a couple of different primary schools every week and support children with their reading. We've got some really vibrant disabled adults project. One we're particularly proud of is our supported volunteering project, where students are buddied up with a disabled adult to help them do their volunteering. So it makes us a truly integrated organisation where we've got this cohort of disabled volunteers who we make sure are supported so that they can be part of what we do as volunteers rather than sort of beneficiaries or service users. And we've got there's a gorgeous couple of outside projects. I think that woodworky one is the Vetch. So in the centre of Swansea, there's an amazing sort of community allotment where the community there kind of grows stuff together. So we send a little team down there once a week to dig stuff and build stuff and grow stuff, and it's really lovely. We've got one of, I think that's our sports day from our children's project as well. So our children's projects will run, some of them are weekly, some of them are monthly. We have a youth club, we have day trips for different groups of children. So we work with refugee and asylum seeker children. We work with children who have been identified as needing a bit of extra support by their schools. And we work with children with autism and related conditions and their siblings. And we take those guys kind of out on various fun and exciting day trips. Buddy reading again, where we're going into schools. There's a few other children's projects as well. So a huge range. I've kind of as we said, an awful lot of things have shifted now, so that they're operating virtually. A few things aren't able to happen, so they're just on hold. But what we've then got is a kind of whole host of other virtual projects that you can do, and they vary massively from being very, on the more intense end of the scale. So you might have a regular phone call with an older person or a disabled adult once a week, where you're kind of ringing them up for a chat. Some of those are doing sort of online volunteering stuff together as well. And then at the very other end of that scale, there's a whole host of sort of environment research and data gathering volunteering, where you kind of log onto a website and count the different species of wildflowers, or kind of, there's various things like that. There was one with penguins and eggs, which was lovely, and they vary. So we kind of tap into another volunteer provider for those, but you can do those things. You're still building skills in terms of in terms of kind of the commitment, the problem solving, all of those things kind of still function for those. And then there's the more intense working with people. We're also kind of sending out care packages and creating videos of activities for our children's projects and our disabled projects and our older people's projects as well. So there's some quite practical things that you can get involved in there. I did make a little list. This was kind of my, oh no, wrong one. This was my little reminder, because I can never, everything's changing so fast at the moment that it's hard to remember what we've got and not. So I think I've talked about most of those. Working on a project with the fire service where students will be helping them make a safety campaign. We've got a long-term project with the police, which has got some amazing opportunities in there, including safety campaigns, but also manning the help point on Wine Street and all sorts of different things. That one's on hold at the moment, but we're looking at doing some campaign work with them, and that will certainly be, you know, come back online as we can. We've got a host of projects where you're supporting other students. So we've got a project or two projects, Connect and Wellbeing Champions, that work through the Campus Life Wellbeing Service. We've got a project that supports autistic students, a project that supports international students. So there's lots of opportunities there to do, you know, kind of work where you're working directly with other people. And we've got a community newsletter project that's working with a community group, some environmental projects. We do some work around improving access to IT, and we're looking at how we get our schools work kind of happening again. I think we're very likely to have some schools work happening very soon next term. And then Circus and Surfability are two external charities that we work with, who do kind of youth work through accessible surfing and accessible circus skills, and we're sort of working out how they come back online, but they're likely to be happening. We link into community COVID support, so the things that I'm sure you've seen and may well have been involved in, of helping your neighbours out with the shopping if there's people shielding in your street, you know, picking up prescriptions and those kind of things. Last year we had a huge amount of students just putting their bins out for their elderly neighbours who were struggling with it. And the community connector is desperate for the students to come back so that role can get picked up again. So we'll definitely be looking for that. And although putting the bins out is a really mundane little task that just needs to be done, but actually what that means is that you know your neighbour, you're chatting to your neighbour. If they need anything else, then actually they've got a connection with you. If you need anything, you've got a connection with them. And it's about making sure that students are immersed in the community and demonstrating your lovely positive niceness. Lots of kind of one-to-one stuff digitally, kind of people doing Zoom calls with some of our disabled adults and older people, or phone calls, and those are happening one-to-one and in groups as well. So all of those kind of things are available. And as you've heard a lot about project coordinating and trustees from those guys. I'd reiterate what Andrew said. The time commitment is incredibly flexible. So actually a lot of people find they dip a toe, they do one little project, they really enjoy it, so they get involved in something else, and then maybe think about a leadership role. But lots of people will do that. Other people will just go, actually, do you know what I want is a regular, I want something on my CV that demonstrates that I can work with people and do teamwork. So I'm just going to do my regular once a month project or my once a week phone call, and that's enough, and that's what fits for me. We ask that people are reliable and committed, and what that means is being realistic about what you can do. So kind of taking on what's practical for you, and we will always get people to kind of start small and build it up, or start small and keep it small, because actually we need 600 volunteers a year. We need people who are doing all of those little bits, so don't feel like it's an all or nothing situation. The other thing we do is have lots of one-offs, and we'll probably have more of those this year where you can literally just turn up and get involved in something. There'll be virtual online one-offs, and there'll be physically kind of turning up to do a thing when we can make that kind of COVID safe, and that's always fine. So I would think, and if other commitments feel quite full, you know, with your study, and if you've got part-time work or family or caring commitments or any of those things, or any reasons why, you know, committing to a regular weekly or even monthly thing isn't right for you, then we make sure you've got those one-off opportunities as well, and you'll still get lots of skills, and you'll still be able to talk about kind of, you know, what you've done and what you've learned there. So normally at this point we'd have some quite specific examples of the project, but they are so in flux at the moment that, you know, we're still working out which ones we're doing. I've decided not to do that. I'm just going to give you a bit of an overview, and then when I explain the next steps, if you are interested in signing up to volunteer, you'll kind of get that information over the next few weeks as things solidify into the volunteering projects that are available. Okay, have we got any questions or anything, Andrew?
Nothing new's come through in the chat yet. I was just going to say, I believe we do still have some project coordinator roles open.
We do, yeah.
So I was thought I might just pop a link to one of our Facebook posts in the chat. Take a look. Obviously, no pressure, and you know, just by inquiring, you're not automatically signing up. But if you're interested in having a look and having a chat with our one of our staff about getting involved with that, then.
Ace, yeah, that's a really good idea. Thanks, Andrew. So yeah, we've got a few project coordinator roles left. Yeah, Andrew will post that link and have a little look there. The first step is that you email us and we send out a pack of information so you can have a little look and see if that's right for you. Then you apply for that role. That's project coordinator. I'll explain how you sign up as a general volunteer in a second. Okay, so I gathered these a year or two ago for our annual report. I gathered some quotes up from some of our students who had gone on to other jobs, and these were two that kind of really stuck out. I'm not going to read them out. I will let you read those yourself. So this one, Lauren Howlett went on to work for Swansea Council for Voluntary Service. She was a volunteer, a project coordinator, and a student trustee with us over those years. She was one of those people who came in for just one straightforward role, but it kind of snowballed for her. And then she's gone on to work for another charity as a health and wellbeing partnership manager, and massively feels that her experience with Discovery kind of got her there. So that's Lauren. And then I've got a second one, which is Jacqueline, who was student president a couple of years ago and went straight from volunteering with Discovery into a role with Crisis, which is a national charity preventing homelessness. He had a Swansea-based job, then he moved to a London-based job with Crisis, and then was promoted within Crisis again, all within about 18 months, 2 years. And again, he really reflected that employers had told him that his experience, his Discovery experience, is what set him above other graduates looking at those kind of jobs. So those two quotes are there for you to have a little reflect on. I realise we're nearly done for time, so I will move us swiftly on. So this is my final slide, and I'll leave this one up. So in terms, we're pretty active on Facebook, so you'll find lots about us there, and then kind of to differing degrees on other social media sites. If you are interested in signing up as a volunteer, you can either email us, so the email address discovery@swansea.ac.uk, not co, just AC, and we will send you out the information about how to get involved. Or if you go to our website, there's a how to get involved tab, and that explains the process as well. You need to sign up on a database, and then there's some training. Once you're signed up on the database, you'll get a regular Friday email, which is the best place to see the kind of current projects that are recruiting and one-offs as they become available. But those are all your contact points for us. And I think that's probably time for me to stop talking, although I could talk all day, but I won't. Yeah, so thank you very much. Thanks for listening. Yeah, I hope that's been useful, and it'll be great to see some of you guys volunteering.
Great. Well, I don't want to stop anybody asking questions, but just very quickly, if you could drop them in the chat. We've definitely taken up our allocated time now, which is brilliant. No, it's great. And it's really good to hear this stuff. I just know that other people might be trying to move on to other calls or things. Just to give people a couple of minutes, I just wanted to say again, just to emphasise how important it is to, at interview, and as Caitlin was saying, in application forms, actually evidence the skills that you have. The reason we go on about this isn't because we kind of think that that's a bit better, but it's what employers are telling us. Employers, as somebody who I interview hundreds of students a year, and as somebody who does that, I know that people who are volunteering, in particular with Discovery, because Discovery are doing a great job in Swansea, are able to evidence this. When I ask them about teamwork, they're able to give me examples of times when they've done that. When I ask them about problem solving, they've got a load of examples lined up, and they're really robust and great examples. The other thing I would say is, if you're a student at Swansea University and you want to get involved with volunteering, the easiest way is to do it via Discovery. There are tons of opportunities out there. We really love we really love working with all our charity partners, but I would say that when somebody says to me, "Oh, I'm looking at getting involved in volunteering," I mean, Discovery really is your one-stop shop. I saw there's just one question in the chat.
So haven't signed up with Discovery. Can I still apply for the project coordinator role? Yes, absolutely. Every year we have some people who come in and go straight into a project coordinator role. And they do great. I think Caitlin did that. I know a few of our other trustees who were just elected last Christmas started in September as a project coordinator, and then were elected to trustee by Christmas. So yeah, totally, if you're interested, you can apply for that.
Brilliant. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for your time. Arjun and Caitlin as well. And of course, Eleanor, thank you so much for your time. You're all amazing people. You make Swansea University a better place. So thank you all.
Thanks, Em. Thanks for having us. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Bye.
Awesome.